That is true success in life, when you become part of somebody else's testimony.
Hey, and welcome to the Steve Hopper Show. Guys, as a motivational speaker, author, and peak performance influencer, I've had the opportunity to travel the world and meet amazing people along the way. And today's guest is no exception to the rule. All the way here from Toronto, Canada, my guest today is Alli Mang. Y'all, she is a TV personality. She is an author. She's a motivational speaker. She has sold millions of dollars worth of product on the shopping channel in Canada. And what an amazing individual. So, Alli, welcome to the show.
Thank you,
Yes.
Steve. Pleasure to be here. I am so excited. And this is the inaugural show, I understand.
This is the inaugural show, and what a better guest to have. Now, guys, I failed to mention to you that she is also my agent. She has a talent agency and representing me, and was able to line me up with the interview on 100 Huntley Street, which was a huge interview. Over 1 million people watched that show consistently, so that was phenomenal experience, wasn't it?
Well, it was, and you were a rock star yourself on that show. And the one thing that I love about you, and when we decided to work together as agent and client, hey, we're partners, let's be honest,
Yeah.
is you just rocked it out. Everything you say has such sincerity, and I just adore you.
Well, that's awesome.
Thank you for having me on the show.
So let's tell everybody a little bit about how we met, because it was at one of my $100,000 handshake events.
It was your first one.
Yeah. No, it's second one. So,
Semantics.
Yeah, right. So we met at the $100,000 handshake event,
Yes.
and we connected afterwards, and you said, hey, do you have anybody representing you in the Canadian market? And
Yep.
I was like, no, you want to?
You're making it sound so much better. I think the thing was, how's it all going? And you said, well, it always could be better. And I put my hand out and I said, I am your Canadian and, partner, but I'm your Canadian agent now. And ever since then, we've been having a whole bunch of fun.
That's awesome. It's been a great journey. And I can tell you that you've already had just a major impact on my life. You've taught me so many things that are helping me excel to the next level in business and life. And we just got done doing an event here in Tampa, Florida, and we brought in some business owners, and we were teaching them about how to utilize video to grow their business, make more money, all that good stuff, because you have a book called Sold Out. This book is phenomenal. So talk a little bit about kind of how you got to where you're at right now. What led you to, obviously going on the home shopping network up there, and, just being a rock star, because obviously a lot of people have stepped foot on those sets and not been able to do what you did, because you were the girl up there. You're the rock star. You were selling more than anybody else. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think it probably backs up. So I sold on the shopping channel for over 10 years, and it was fantastic. I represented one brand. It was a home lines brand for the shopping channel itself. And I think my success probably came from, as it does with success, our experience. So I've been doing commercials. I'm a singer by trade. I've done lots of theater, lots of television as well. I guest starred with Mark Harmon. I guest starred with Mr. T.
Mr. T.
Oh my gosh,
That's
he's
awesome.
such a great guy. So I think what I loved about that era is that I started to really understand more about the camera and more about just sort of this. And that was really great. But as well, being an entrepreneur, wearing about 1,000 hats, which we all do, I also sold steel. I was an inside sales rep for about 4 years. And I think what that did, and of course, I didn't tell you, you don't even probably know this, but I manufactured my own sportswear. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
For the
Wow.
sport of curling. Do you even know what curling is?
No.
That's okay. That's okay. It's more of a Canadian thing, although the U.S. Olympic, the guys are doing really, really well in the U.S. as well.
Wow.
But the sport of curling, and that transitioned into golf wear. So I manufactured that for 3 years, and that was the business that I owned. I designed all the pieces and worked with a bunch of people to get it out to the national market. It did very well. It was called Free Guard Zone Sportswear.
Wow.
That is where my last book comes into play, which we'll talk about. But
Right.
to answer your final question, it is like everything else. How did you come to today from all your past experiences? So the shopping channel combined my ability to sell, to understand about product, to understand about end use and how it compared to the competitors, and all of those things that we need, as you know, as a salesperson, that you need to have. Those are the hard facts. But then understanding about the entertainment value of being on TV and understanding to connect with that one person. And we talk about that on Friday specifically. Like, I'm not talking to everybody. I'm literally talking to you. I am talking to you. And that's what
Working the camera.
Working the camera, but not in an insincere way.
Right.
'Cause
Connecting.
There's a lot of people out there, and it's so easy to do because it's easier to do, hey, ha, ha, ha. But it doesn't connect. So it's great to just pull it back. And sometimes the simple moments of life are the things that people go, oh, I want to know more about that person. So that's the power of the shopping channel, because we get to connect with people. And so it was the combination of everything. I loved that work immensely, and the pressure to perform every single second and minute was like no other pressure I've ever lived in. I mean, being an athlete, I'm sure you know what that's like. But having no second chance, peak performance. You are a peak performance coach and influencer, and so you know all about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's exciting because, you know, in this book, I mean, video is where it's at right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, I tell people all the time, you know, in this day and age, we've gotten really good at connecting without actually connecting. You know, we've got social media, so, you know, we've got thousands of friends on social media. 3/4 of them we probably don't even know, right?
That's like, I don't even know half these people. It's so true.
Yeah, and so we've gotten good at connecting without connecting. And video's where it's at. You know, you go through your news feed now, and 8 out of the 10 posts that you see in your news feed is video. It's just where it's at. So people have to get better at video if they want to go to the next level. They've got to take advantage or they're going to get left behind. And in this book, I'm going to pull this book down here real quick, because I actually, now, you interviewed hundreds of professionals. As you guys can see, there is a tremendous amount of information. You don't put this many pages in a book and not have some serious content in this book. So you interviewed like hundreds of extremely successful people and came up with some of this, right?
I did, and thank you for saying that, because everyone said, well, how do you start a book, you know? And boy, that's a whole nother conversation. Because you've written an amazing book as well, and I know you've got number 2 coming out, don't you?
Number 2 and 3.
See, I am his agent, so I have to do a little bit of that.
There you
but
go,
I'm
good
excited.
job.
But yes, I decided, you know, there's all kinds of business books out there, and there's amazing business books. It's why I decided I was excited to write one my own, because I was influenced by so many others, the Peter Druckers of the world, the Tom Peters of the world, and, you know, Edward de Bono, who wrote one of my favorite books. Anyway, I decided I don't want to just interview business people, because there's so many other more as successful people. So I interviewed doctors, I interviewed traffic controllers, pilots, and certainly frontline people as well. Yeah. And I had 3 questions that I asked them. And I said, how do you prepare for your work when you cannot fail? If you're a surgeon, you're doing hard, you know, because I wanted to understand what that preparation was. Many of my friends have been on Broadway on multiple shows. And again, you cannot fail when you're on stage, when there are hundreds of people watching. And what I found, which why I knew it would be, but it was so wonderful to have that confirmed, is that there were so many similarities. It didn't matter what their vocation was. The similarities of preparation, the similarities of visualizing success, the similarities of understanding about how their education, not only business and BAs and you know, masters and all the rest, but their life experience can get them to this moment. And so exciting. So from that, of course, I created 3 strategies, sales strategies of my own.
Yeah, which I want to touch on this one, because I don't want to miss this. You know, we did our event. We had this amazing video mastermind event in Tampa this past week, and one of the things that you covered with the attendees was your lily pad strategy. Now, this is very unique. You coined this, okay? This is nobody but your own, and talk a little bit about the lily pad strategy, because this is really cool.
Well, it's a pitch strategy. Steve, I love images because I think it helps all of us. You know, we're either bottom line thinkers or we are, flowery thinkers, very creative, but you still have to connect those two. So the lily pad strategy is something that allows you to use 7 different strategies to hook that message in, illuminate the differences and illuminate the experience. And the 7 pitch patches are in my book, Sold Out, How to Sell Out on the Worldwide Shopping Channel.
Sold Out, How to Sell Out on the Worldwide Shopping Channel. But you don't have to be on the shopping channel for this book to make. You could be in sales, like totally, just an outside salesperson for your company, and this book will take your game to the next level. You also have Your First Moment Earns You More Moments. Now, this one is really cool as well, and the subtitle is Stand Out in Today's Job Market. You've always done a great job of doing that, right? So what's one key out of this book that you think would be very impactful to everybody?
My last chapter is personal branding, which I don't address at all on this book.
Very important.
Because I don't think we understand about personal branding. We're still down to, and I hope I can name a name brand like Kleenex or Coca-Cola. We get that, but we don't necessarily understand that you are a brand, the way you dress, the way you frame up yourself, the things you choose to do and say, and the people you choose to surround yourself with is part of your personal brand. Yeah. It's the totality of everything you do professionally and personally. So that is the biggest difference. This is a Uber version of my larger to communicate to more people.
Mm. Well, guys, listen, as you can tell, she is amazing, exciting, full of energy, and a ton of fun. But, guys, there's a serious side here to Alli's story as well. And it's very heartfelt, and it's something that I'm sure is going to impact you in a major, major way. We're going to jump into that when we come back from the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Hey, it's Andrew with School Choice Week, and I want to invite you to participate in a really cool event. It's called Celebrate Youth, taking place January 27th from 10 to 2. That's January 27th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Pasco County Safety Town. It's a community-based School Choice Week event, and you can meet with folks from all across the community and have a lot of fun. So January 27th, 10 to 2, Pasco County Safety Town. Hope you can attend.
Welcome back. I'm here with my guest, Alli Mang, all the way from Toronto, Canada, and we talked about her success in front of the camera as a home shopping network guru. We've talked about a couple of her books. She's an amazing author, motivational speaker, but there's a serious side to Alli's story as well. You know, as we go through life, our experiences are made up of both the good and the bad. Some of those experiences may be painful, but they shape us into who we are. And Alli has a story that I'm sure is going to impact many of you. So Alli, something happened not too long ago, actually, right? Mm-hmm. And it impacted your life in a major way and created somewhat of a shift in your life and kind of the way that you were looking at your own life and your future, etc. Talk a little bit about it.
It happened twice, actually. So I lost my mom to cancer. We admitted her Monday, and the next Monday she died. And that was a huge shift because I just lost my best friend. But what was attached to that more than anything is I felt that I lost trust as well. She didn't let us in on what she was going through, which was clear. She was an oncology nurse, so she knew obviously something more than just a cold, more than just a virus was going on. And so when we admitted her, that's what I thought, oh, there's some complications. And by Thursday, it was not that way at all. At the same time, I just realized that my husband had had an affair. And so talk about losing trust. It was
Wow.
the theme of my experience. And interestingly, I decided, well, you won't be able to deal with both, Alli. You're going to need to deal with one because the grief of losing something, whether it's trust or a person, it's difficult. So I decided that I really needed to deal more with the grief of losing my mom. So as it turned out, yes, my husband had an affair, but when these kinds of things happen, it's not just a one way in the sense that if someone does something, it's a shared, things aren't working out. And so he actually helped me grieve through the loss of my mom. We split. He has kids. He's got a great life, and it was the right thing. But we were married for 7 years. But through that, I started writing a book because I didn't want to forget anything that happened. Even though I did lose my mom and she died very suddenly, she was teaching us the lessons about living a good life, making sure that when you make choices, that you're making the most of every moment. And, that was kind of the theme. So every night I'd go home from the hospital and I'd write out little crib notes because I didn't want to forget anything. I didn't want to forget the coffee, the smell of, the hospital, the feeling of all of those things. And that was the seed of my book, my third book.
There was another situation as well.
Yep.
And I'm going to take you there. And I know that this is tough for you, and I know that this is raw. And I'm going to take you there because I think it's important for the listeners to hear this story as well, because there's a lot of people out there right now that are going through similar stuff. You experienced another loss.
Yes. 10 years ago, when I started at the shopping channel, I was in the UK selling jewelry at a shopping channel there. And every night I would talk to my family, and they knew exactly where I was. And this particular night I called, there was a 6-hour time change. And I said, hi, I'm here in London. I'm going to be coming home in 2 days, as you know. How are you? And my husband said, you must sit down. This is a different husband. And I went, oh. And my sister had taken her life. And I remember my first thought was, wow, she really did it. And that was quite a thing. She'd been grappling with mental illness for a number of years. Grappling is not the right word, actually. Fighting. Normal people would not have had a clue that she was struggling. She was highly medicated, doing the best she could. She had 2 amazing kids that somehow through her struggle, she rose them up to be amazing kids. They were very young, 13 and 17, and wow. As a parent. But Steve, I'm going to say something that probably will rock people's worlds, because most people see suicide as a selfish act, as something that you've given up, that you just can't seem to, you can't live with it, and it's all selfish. And I will say that to me, it was the most selfless act she could do, because she knew she would be sick for the rest of her life and she'd be a burden to her children. And it would have been easier to literally let her go so that her kids could thrive. And they are thriving. They're both professionals. One is living in San Francisco, moving back to Vancouver, working for the highest tech company in that area. You probably know who, at least one of six, and that's who he's been working for. And the youngest, who is now 24, lives in a house. She's with a beautiful gentleman. They have dogs and cats, and it's a house filled with life. And I feel that my sister knew that, and that's how she chose to continue to nurture them. And so she made the ultimate sacrifice. And not all suicides are like that, I am sure. But this was a very thought out process for her. And it's sad, no question about it. And it took me years to understand that. This just did not come. But it's now been 10 years, and I see that.
Now you told this story and some others in your latest book, which is called My Force of Life, Living Through the Loss of a Loved One. This is a extremely powerful book, y'all. You lay it on the table in here, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say to the people right now that are watching that have experienced the loss of a loved one, whether it was suicide or whether they were just taken too soon or whether it was just their time? You know, what would you say to somebody right now? You know, I lost my grandfather a few weeks ago, you know, natural causes. I mean, obviously it's sad when we say that cancer is natural causes nowadays because it's so rampant, but you know, cancer took over and I lost him. You know what impact he had in my life. But what would you say to somebody right now that's dealing with the loss of a loved one?
I have three things. Number one, you're not alone. And I know that that's the thing that comes into all our being. We think we're alone. We feel that we need to hide that we're crying, or hide that we're mad, or hide that we're happy. All of these emotions come out depending on our relationship with that person, but also depending on the insights with ourselves. The second one is, please let yourself grieve. Please allow it. Grief comes out in all kinds of different ways, and I will guarantee, I lost my mom almost 20 years ago, my sister 10 years ago, and if you don't deal with it in a timely fashion, it will come back to you. It will be there and wait for you. Grief is part of life. And my third, and probably, again, people may not necessarily agree or understand it, but if you've been through a loss, you will understand this. Death does not erase life. It enforces it.
Wow.
It enforces us to live in the moment, to be more aware, to think about our choices more, and the choices we're making to touch others. And it also forces us to see, who am I spending time with? Because when we go through these experiences, and I bet you felt this too, you know who your real friends are.
Oh yeah.
And that's all good. And I suspect you guys went through the hurricane recently. That's also a loss. And you don't know where, you have no trust over what's going to happen.
Right.
And you also knew who your real friends were.
Yeah. Yeah, they were all calling me, wanting to borrow our generator.
That's good. And see, this is the part, allow yourself to laugh.
That's right. That's right.
Allow yourself to laugh, because that is what life is. It's not all sad. And yes, grief and loss, of course, is as sad as you can get.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of happy times, and it's life.
It's these experiences that shape us, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. It's what gets us to the place that we get to. You know, we can use those bad experiences as fuel. We can learn from them. We can grow from them. I know, you know, I've been through a lot of stuff as well.
Boy,
you
have
know,
you ever.
Yeah, and using those experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything. You know, it gets us ready. I feel like it gets us ready to be able to go and accomplish. But more importantly than that, I think it's about utilizing our experiences to be able to impact other people. And I know that this book right here, this is new, this is recent, this is just out. My Force of Life is going to impact so many people. So God bless you. Thank you for putting this book. It takes a lot of courage. You know, we can write books all day long about selling on video and, you know, all of that good stuff. But when you can write a book that literally could change somebody's life, could get them out of that hole that they may be in right now, give them hope for the future. You know, I always tell people, when you become part of somebody else's story, that is true success in life. Thank you so much for being on this show. I love you. You're a rock star.
A pleasure. I love you too. Thank you, and thank you very much. And it was a great day.
Yeah. So guys, if Alli's story at all resonates with you, go get a copy of her book, My Force of Life. Get a copy of that today. Where can they go to get a copy of this
They
book?
can go on to Amazon.
Amazon.ca
or .com,
yeah.
and you can pick it up there. Also, Steve, I'm going to be doing an audiobook.
Wow, cool.
For this book specifically. It's a short book, and it's going to be beautiful, and all the music underneath will be original music.
Oh, wow,
So
fantastic.
I want it to be a healing journey, because that's what this book is all about, and thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Hey, guys, God bless you. We'll see you on the next show. Bye-bye.